Can you help me? Oh, are we, Carmen? Okay. You're Carmen? Yeah. Okay, I'm Robert. Hi, I talked to dinner. We're going to go first. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks. Hopefully I'll make it there. I have someone to cover me till 7, but I'm not sure I'll make it.
Good evening. We'll go ahead and call to order the Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting for November 10th, 2020. If you'd please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and for roll call, let us show for the record all members are present. We do have Barry and Kendall joining us via WebEx as well. We do have Steve with current planning, and Mike Shannon with Commissioner Jones' office and the Town Board Secretary, Carmen. A few meeting notes before we get started. Items on the agenda may be taken out of order. The board may combine 2 or more agenda items for consideration. The board may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item at any time. No action may be taken on any matter not listed on the posted agenda. All planning and zoning matters heard at this meeting are forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners Zoning Commission, the BCC, or the Clark County Planning Commission, the PC, for final action. I also will have a little reminder, everybody that's here, we do have the sign-up sheet outside, right outside the door on the table, if you wouldn't mind signing in as well. Thank you for that. Next brings us to public comment. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public about items on this agenda. No discussion, action, or vote may be taken on this agenda item. You will be afforded the opportunity to speak on individual public hearing items at the time that they are presented. If you wish to speak to the board about items within its jurisdiction but not appearing on this agenda, you must wait until the comments by the general public period listed at the end of this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and if you please clearly state your name and address for the record, please. So at this time, I'll go ahead and open up public comments. Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comments. Next brings us to the approval of the minutes from our Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting from October 28th, 2020. I didn't see any changes. No? Okay. So at this time, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes from October 28th, 2020. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Kendall and Barry, if you don't mind to just unmute yourself a little bit before you say your vote, that might help us to hear you.
I heard us both say aye. I don't think you heard it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We just want to make sure because it's only 2 live and 2 on WebEx, so it's really important we hear the vote. Thank you, Kendall. Okay, thank you. Okay, next brings us to the approval of tonight's agenda for November 10th, 2020. We do have a few applicant requested holds and some related applications that will be heard together as well. So the first one is applicant requested holds will be items 1, item 2, and item 3. Number 1 is ZC200284, applicant requested hold to the Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting till January 13th, 2021. Item 2 is VS200285, applicant requested hold to the Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting to January 13th, 2021. Number 3 is AG209000314, county requested a hold to the Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting January 13th, 2021. Related applications that will be heard together is going to be items number 4, item 5, and item 6. Number 4 is ZC200454. Number 5 is VS200453. And item 6 is TM205000154. And we will be moving item number 14 to the beginning of the agenda and hearing that item first. And one small minor change also on the agenda. Our next meeting date is actually November 24th, 2020 at 6 p.m. It's going to be another Tuesday meeting due to the holiday. Okay, I think I got all the changes. So at this time, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda for November 10th, 2020. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next brings us down to informational items. We have a couple of things to go over. Applications are available until November 15th, 2020 for appointments by the Clark County Board of County Commissioners to serve on the Enterprise Town Advisory Board for a 2-year term beginning January 2021. There is also an application period that has been launched for positions on the Clark County Business Development Advisory Council. It would serve as an advisory capacity to the Board of County Commissioners on matters concerning minority women, economically disadvantaged businesses, and small business initiatives in Clark County. So applications are being accepted through November 19th, 2020 at 5 p.m. and the members will be appointed to a term of 2 years as well. And no other announcements? Okay, perfect. So that brings us down to planning and zoning. So we will start with item number 14. Number 14 is ET 204-00119, NCC 027417. Zone change, first extension of time to reclassify 5 acres from RE Real Estates Residential Zone to R1 Single Family Residential Zone. Design review for a proposed single-family residential development on 5 acres, generally located on the east and west sides of Duneville Street and north side of Oleta Avenue within Enterprise. Description and file.
Good evening, Robert Cunningham, 6030 South Jones Boulevard with Tanny Engineering. I appreciate your consideration for letting me go first. What we're asking for is an extension of time of this application. The developer who was working on it during the past few years dropped out of escrow, then they got into escrow again and dropped out. Now the owner of the property is currently working with someone else to develop the property. We would appreciate the extended period of time so that we could complete the necessary studies and the plans with Clark County. With that, that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. At this time, I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 14? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Open it up to board members.
Yeah, we should extend it, and also I would consider a longer extension than what the staff has put in. Part of the reason is this property was very heavily negotiated between the applicant and the residents in the area. It contains a number of items which are very favorable to the residents, which should be continued, and any new applicant should pick up. It also allowed us to get Oleta put back in after it was taken out, which significantly has improved the traffic area. And we're now finding Oleta is also being used for recreational from folks in the higher density housing to the south. So there's a lot of pluses on keeping this going and getting it as is.
Perfect. Kendall or Barry, do you have any comments?
Nothing from me.
Okay, thank you. So would you, because they have until October 4th, 2021.
If you want, I will make a motion on item number 14, ET 02400199, NZC 027417 for approval, and then change current planning bullet number 1 to read until 1 January 2023 to commence, and then per staff conditions. Anybody need that repeated?
Okay, perfect. So with that motion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got someone covering it until 7.
Okay, our next items on the agenda that will be heard together is items number 4, 5, and 6. Number 4 is ZC 200454, zone change to reclassify 10 acres from RE, Real Estates Residential Zone, to R2, Medium Density Residential Zone. Use permit for an attached single-family residential development. Waivers of development standards for the following. 1, increase the maximum allowed site disturbance area within hillside development. 2, increase wall height. 3, waive off-site improvements requirements. 4, non-standard off-site improvements. Design reviews for the following. 1, an attached single-family residential development. 2, a preliminary grading plan for a residential development within a hillside area. And 3, permit the use of hammerhead turnaround. Generally located on the east side of Edmond Street, alignment, and the north and south sides of Chartan Avenue, alignment within Enterprise. Description and file.
I don't see an applicant
I
representative.
don't either. Okay. Go ahead and trail to the call of the chair, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Okay, that brings us down to our next item, which is item number 7. UC 200456, use permits for the following: 1, convenience store; 2, gasoline station; 3, packaged liquor sales; 4, reduce the separation for a proposed convenience store to a residential use; and 5, reduce separation for a proposed gasoline station to a residential use. Waivers of development standards for the following: 1, reduce parking lot landscaping; 2, reduce building height setbacks; and 3, buffer wall; 4, reduce departure distance; and 5, alternative driveway geometrics. Design reviews for the following: 1, convenience store with gasoline station; and 2, retail restaurant with drive-through on 2.5 acres in a C1 local business zone, generally located on the northeast corner of Durango Drive and Pebble Road within Enterprise. Do we have an applicant for item number 7? No applicant? Oh, okay, so I will trail to the call of the
Do you
chair.
have a gentleman up there that wants to speak on it?
Are you for public comment? Okay, so at this time, I'll go ahead and open up item number 7 for public comment.
Thank you. Spencer Adamson, 8569 Gabby Creek Drive. I live directly behind this parcel. I'd like to share a back wall with it, although I'm opposed to the designation of local businesses. I'm very opposed to the reduction to the development standards that we are requesting. Really don't want businesses there, if at all possible. It's gonna be right in my backyard.
Okay, thank
All right,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Was anybody else here for public comment for item number 7? No? Sir, come on down. We're going to be hearing that in a few moments. Yes. Okay. So, and nobody else here for public comment for item number 7? Okay. So at this time, I'll close public comment for item number 7, and I will go ahead and trail to the call of the chair, item number 7. Yep. And I see that items number 4, 5, and 6, they are just walked in the door, so I'll go ahead and read those back into the record. Okay, so now we'll be hearing items number 4, 5, and 6. Number 4 is ZC 200454, zone change to reclassify 10 acres from RE, Real Estates Residential Zone, to R2, Medium Density Residential Zone. Use permits for an attached single-family residential development. Waivers of development standards for the following: 1, increase the maximum allowed site disturbance area within hillside development. 2, increase wall height. 3, waive off-site improvement requirements. 4, non-standard off-site improvements. Design reviews for the following: 1, an attached single-family residential development. 2, a preliminary grading plan for a residential development within a hillside area. 3, permit of the use of hammerhead turnaround, generally located on the east side of Edmund Street alignment and the north and south sides of Chartan Avenue alignment within Enterprise. Description and file. Item number 5 is VS 200453, vacate and abandonment easements of interest to Clark County located between Edmund Street alignment and Valerosa Street alignment, and between Piney Summit Avenue alignment and Nubia Avenue alignment within Enterprise. Description and file. Number 6, TM 205000154, tentative map consisting of 50 residential lots and common lots on 10 acres in an R2 medium density residential zone, generally located on the east side of Edmund Street alignment and the north and south sides of Chartan Avenue alignment within Enterprise.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lebanon Heaney, represent 520 South 4th Street, representing the applicant, being items 4, 5, and 6, which are companion items. The application is for a conforming zone change for 10 acres from RE to R2 with special use permit for attached single-family residences, all within the hillside, and it includes waivers of development standards for some of the hillside standards, and as well as for the project. This project is basically located just outside Southern Highlands. The streets leading to the project are Chartan and Edmond to the north and Chartan to the east. These aerial plans will orient you to the area. This is Chartan, which is the gate to the property. As you can see, the site is surrounded by existing, either developed or approved C2 zone properties. Our site is basically east of an existing RE zone, PF zoned property. So looking from Chartan, which is the entry to the site, onto the hillside, which is looking east to west on the site. Being that it's a conforming zone change, these are the plans that best depict the project. Now, there are some waivers for the hillside to increase the disturbance in the area. This is because of the slopes in the area. The reason we're asking for the waiver is to give a little bit more room to grade and develop the site. And with that said, this is basically the west, this is the east, and north is basically this way. This is Edmonds. So basically, if you look at it, if you can please zoom in. So basically, that's Edmond at the cul-de-sac. And this is Chartan to the east, looking up the ridge. The reason for the increased disturbance is to allow more room to get more area to develop, and also that area will be restored. So based on the request, we're asking to increase the required undisturbed is 4.4 acres. Our request is to allow some disturbance and just keep 2.4 acres. However, because of the steepness of the slopes in some of the areas, this 25 to 30% will be left as undisturbed and revegetated and restored. To the south, which has lower slopes, we have a recreational area that will serve. So if you add the 2.4 plus the 3.25, that gets you almost to 5.7 acres of area that is left undeveloped. And being a hillside, this helps the developer kind of capture some of the costs. The attached dwelling we're asking for, these are single family, attached on one side. Each residence has 33 plus to almost 4,000 plus lots. The minimum required in an R2 zone is 3,300, but we're doing slightly more than the 33 all the way to almost 4,700 lots, 100 square feet, sorry. The maximum density requested is 5 dwelling units per acre, and R2 allows up to 8, but we're not asking for the maximum. We're asking for 50 lots at 5 dwelling units per acre. Now, these attached lots are attached on one side, and one side remains. So really, if you look at it, we're trying to minimize how much area we develop by creating lots in a grouping in one area, so we're not disturbing too much of the area. And most of the lots adjacent to us are about the same square footage, whether they're in Southern Highlands or in the other areas surrounding the area. Now, to better depict what we're doing, these are 2- and 3-story homes. So the impression was it was all going to be 3 stories. It's actually 2 and 3. So this is basically, if you, Steve, if you can pull up the other landscape plan. Oh, sorry. I'll pull it up. This cut that we're showing, it's lots 10 and 37 coming in. So 10 would be to the west, adjacent to the hill, and 34, it's across the street, our own internal street. And then you have about 800 feet of common area before you get to the next set of lots. So looking at the cut, the 3 stories are against the mountain or hill, and the 2 stories are on a slope below. And then you have the slope that cuts out to the houses, which are really at the bottom of the hill. And with some pictures I have, you would see that in those areas, those houses are way below these. But based on this card, those houses wouldn't actually see the 3-story houses. What they will be seeing would be the 2 stories with open space between them. Some of these houses, based on the pictures, have either view walls that are wrought iron, or they have solid walls, depending on the grading in that area. Now, there was a question about a rockery wall on the north, basically the northern portion of the site. The northern portion of the site, because there's a drainage easement and houses below, the intent is to create the rockery wall to make it a little easier for the people way below us, and that will help with the drainage study will capture all that. That's why we asked for the 15-foot high rockery wall instead of the stair step. So they see a wall and then the view fence on top instead of a straight. If we don't use a rockery wall, what would happen is then you'd have to use concrete walls, which really don't look aesthetically pleasing. And with that said, we understand staff's recommendation, but in this area, it's basically surrounded by R2 with similar densities. And with that said, I would appreciate your approval, and I'm here to listen to all your questions, answer your questions. And I do have the applicant, Michael Schumer, with me if you have specific questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So at this time, I'll open up public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on items number 4, 5, or 6, come on down. And sir, if you would like to say something too, you can come on down too. Both of you, yeah, or everybody, yeah, come on down. You can use either side of the mics. Okay. Yep. You just please state your name and address for the record,
okay.
Please. Thank you.
My name's Bill Horvath. My address is 5126 Quiet Falls Court. And I'm representing myself and my son who own the house, but I also am representing the HOA. They've had me come here to say, first of all, we didn't have enough information to even know what you were putting up there. We just found out about this as an HOA, and you're butting right up to us. You're also looking for some easements. Part of it is on these, which part of it is on the Piney Summit side. We just negotiated to have all that, have a lot of work done there, and we also have a park in between this that butts right up to this. Also the density, we feel that the density looks pretty high, but we have not, this is the first time we've seen anything about this project. So rather than say, hey, we go for it, we want to see what's going on. We're a residential community down below. It's about 130 houses, and these are all families. It's all residential families and commercial stuff. So, I mean, not commercial, but residential. We're looking at what's the impact going to be, both the impact at the time you're doing the building and what's the time schedule and the time frame, and then afterwards, how is that going to affect our community down below? We're a complete mature community, so we have no background on what you're doing here until just tonight, and we just found out about it Friday and Saturday, most of us. So we'd like to have more information, and we want to know about the easements, and certainly the idea of going to medium density was not something that any of us were talked about when we all bought our homes. This is the first time we've even seen this, and that was part of, and I went around to all the community the last 3 days. Not one person was told that when they bought their houses, and many people who just bought their houses even just now. So this is the first time we're hearing anything about this proposed project. We need more information to find out how you're going to affect us and what easements you're going to do and how that's going to affect because we have parks and stuff that we're right up against this land. And we just signed a contract to redo our park. Plus, behind it, on the Piney Summit side, is part of the mountain. It's owned by the HOA. So you can't get access from Piney Summit. That's our land, and we just contracted to have all that done and have a walkway done or a path, because people use this area for hikes and park, stuff like that. So this is used by our community. So this kind of takes it away from us. So we would like to know more about the project. Certainly the density seems a lot. It seems a lot for us for what's going up there compared to what we bought, and we didn't buy that. So it's just an idea. We need more information before we could, but we're opposed to it as of right now. There's no way we would want to have that up there at that density. And access, we don't know about access or anything else yet. We've not seen anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Sir?
Hi, my name is Colton Villa. I live at 5042 Quiet Falls Court. I'm also a resident of the Star Hill HOA, and same with Bill. I think as of this moment, I am opposed to the plans. Would like to see more information for the same exact reasons. Want to see really what those easements are going to entail, and really what the build timeframe is going to look like, and how much that is going to disrupt our current neighborhood. Bill lives butted right up against where this will be built. I'm a few homes down. I have 3 small children, and I want to make sure that there's not construction traffic driving up and down our street, and make sure that our street doesn't end up becoming a thoroughway.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Stephen Grossman. I live at 5124 Ivy Creek Court. I butt up right up against the wall to where they're doing this. I am opposed to this. My primary reason more is about delay than it is about preventing. Due to the current circumstances, I would say probably 80% of our community is probably working from home. And any kind of noise not only disrupts us from doing our job, but it disrupts our businesses pertinent to Las Vegas and the local community. So you got a lot of people working at home, extended noise factors, extended traffic, because that's literally right behind my house, is going to be an impact to my business and my company that I support. And so I'm opposed to this action. Also, I'd like to know more, like the gentleman that said before me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Yes, sir.
How you doing? Attorney Michael Horvath. I'm part owner in the house, 5126 Quiet Falls at the end of it. And looking at this proposed plan, as right now, I'm opposing this because if you come in this Charlton Street right here, and you come up and you put these houses and start doing these gradings, this goes up. It's a hill. Our house is right on this wall right here, and there's homes right here too. And then they start grading and doing all, we're literally, just the cinder block wall right there. So our house looks up, we're on a hill, we look out, everything like that. We're gonna have them do construction right next to our wall on our house with this grading. And then I believe, the other gentleman that just spoke, his house is along this way too. So all this work that'll be done will be impacting, like I said, this is something that obviously is gonna go on for years. And my father lives there in a retirement home, and he just, he's putting in a pool, doing all these things, and we're gonna have this construction going on probably for years right there. As well as I said, they have contracts in there right now to be redoing other things there. So I would oppose this because having them come in, and if they come in off this side, if they want these easements, that's coming right into our neighborhood. And like Colton said, we'll have trucks and all these things going on constantly, and our neighborhood's pretty quiet. There's not a lot of noise there ever at night times. And I understand they're not doing construction there during the nighttime, but we've got a school right there, all these other things. So it would really impact the neighborhood, I believe, in a negative way. So right now, I would oppose that.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Anybody else wishing to speak on items 4, 5, and 6? Okay, hearing none, see none. I think he's looking at the plans, but hearing none, see none, I will close public comment right now for that. And then before I open it up to the board, I'll give it back to the applicant if you'd like to say anything, or.
Yeah, there were a few questions as to when they got it. The notices were sent out. This is based on submittal. This was the meeting date because it's a conforming zone change. There wasn't a requirement for a meeting other than the town board meeting and the county commission meeting because it's a conforming zone change. Now, to address some of the issues, being cognizant of the fact that there are existing homes, if you look at the design, we did, it was designed to make sure that there was a lot of common area between this development and the existing development. So when we go in to build, those areas were supposed to be some of the areas to be preserved, so there is space between them. And if you look at the plan, most of these houses, the ones with the closest or least easement, are sited to the sides of those houses. Where we have lots that face the east, the easements in those areas about 100 feet. And I did drive the area. Development is still going on in Southern Highlands. Some of these areas adjacent to us are outside, like the Star Lily, what the gentleman said. Yes, they do have some common areas on their side of it, which backs up to our common area, which is this lot 106 going further down. This is the common area for the Star Lily development that abuts us to the east. And that's their common area, which is not really developed. And then we have that common area plus our recreational area adjacent to the west. So that should address some of the concerns. We're not right adjacent to them. In some areas, we're adjacent to common areas. Now to the north on Edmond, which is one of the issues I haven't addressed yet, there was a request by Public Works to have, they agreed to the hammerhead and for us to construct the entire hammerhead. Now, I have pictures to show that at this time, the county has ensured that people, I'm sorry, I have too many plans. So bear with me a minute, and I'll get those plans that show Edmond with where the county has stopped it. And our request is we be allowed to dedicate our portion of the cul-de-sac, apply for the BLM grants for that area, but not build it at this time. Because when you go there today, these people try to get into the mountains. The county has a stop signs. If we build that street or the cul-de-sac and end it the way the county wants us to end, it actually will encourage more people to park in that area and go up into the hills. So Charlton basically looks like this at this time, and that's the same as Edmond. So the county's blocked it off. With Charlton going in as a cul-de-sac and a bulb, it ends in our development. When you go onto Edmond, it's basically the same. There's some lots with view lots and some lots that have solid walls, those lower. So if you do build a cul-de-sac, once we build it, without knowing what will happen to the BLM land to our west, it's just going to encourage more people to go into the hills. Right now, they can go in, but they can't take a car. If we build the cul-de-sac, the hammerhead, it will just encourage more people going, stopping, and creating problems in that area. The TM and the vacation, someone mentioned easements. Well, on the easements, we're only vacating easements, the 33-foot wide and 5-foot wide pattern easements around our parcel, which every development does. These are not easements that are needed for road, because the two roads that basically lead into the development are Edmond and Charlton. and we're not asking to vacate them. So these are pardon easements. And those are existing. We just go straight up and get to it. And we don't have direct access. Our subdivision is planned in a way that we don't get, there's no access from Edmond into our subdivision. It's an area that we would dedicate for the future and can landscape in the interim, but we don't have direct access. We could put a gate just to kind of have people go out of the gate, so that's not an access. The access is from Charlton, which is an existing street, which is a legal access into the site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up to the board members.
Yeah, got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there any access provided to the BLM land to the west? Should that be developed as a public facility, other than Edmond?
As far as we know from Public Works,
Through the property that we're looking at tonight?
excuse me?
Through the property we're looking at tonight?
No, there is no access.
The
Edmond
reason
was
I'm
the only
asking is that
street.
We had another hillside west of Fort Apache, and it was used fairly extensively as a trail area, and the developer agreed to put a trail so the area could be accessed by the residents to the east. And I went out and I drove that area also because I'm very, wanted to look at it. Just looking at the diagrams doesn't do a lot for me sometimes. And I saw several people walking on top of the mountain, and it appeared to be a trail up there that they actually use. So that's why I'm asking the question. I want to make sure that we don't cut off access to a future piece of land that could be a recreational area in there. I've also got questions on the drainage. I know we've got a preliminary grading study. This piece of land has had two other proposals on it, both of which have expired. The first one for 70-plus units on it, the last one for 34. Hillside ordinance also covers this, which restricts a lot of what can be done in the area. I'm deciding whether or not this is kind of in between the hillside ordinance and the R2. There's a lot. Hillside calls for larger properties, basically 2 per acre. Calls for single-story homes in there. Calls for a lot less disturbed land. So I also realize that this, because of the amount of grading would have to be done in this particular area, it's a tremendous cost to develop the area. So the number of homes may not pencil out at a smaller number in there. I think the idea of having the homes with a common wall is an excellent idea. I think that helps space it out, puts a little more room in between the particular sites in there. I did look at previous applications on this. One of the concerns is blasting an area, and I've got, Carmen, if you could give our applicant a copy of that. Yeah, I copied out what was a previous
Thank you.
concern on blasting in there. And it doesn't prevent it, but it does put some safeguards on it. So, and that's, and I'll go ahead and read it for the moment. Blasting will be minimized to every extent possible. Prior to any blasting, the current planning staff must review an appropriate blasting plan submitted by the developer. Blasting plan will address time, duration, intensity, notice of any blasting, and how any damage claims will be handled, including point of contact for the county to refer any potential complaints regarding alleged property damage. The developer shall submit to the county current planning staff on a regular basis, a report. So, that's, I think something like that should be included. I also noticed there are no other 3-story homes in that area and I haven't quite decided whether the line of sight is sufficient reason to, go on that. So, but I'll wait to see what someone else, that's my initial thoughts. And I think the final grading plan also should be a public design review, because runoff is going to be extremely important. And this board has consistently recommended that walls over 9 feet be terraced.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a few questions. Actually, I have a question for staff. Because I'm not that familiar with attached single-family residential developments. So they're attached. So, and then staff write-up says that there's 50, so it's 50 of those units? Because it's 50 lots, so 50, so it's 50 of those actual dwellings. So would it be 2 families per, because they're attached, or is it counting, 25 and then there's, how does that look for, I don't know if staff or?
It's 50 lots, and basically, I have a diagram that, or a photo that would show what that is. So it's basically,
So it's this elevation right here is 1 lot.
it's 2.
Okay.
So it's 0 lot line. So
Okay,
imagine it as
got it.
0 lot line on one side, and so it's attached, but each one has its own
Perfect.
3,300
So it
plus
would be
square foot
50
lot.
families living there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So it's
just
50
for
lots,
traffic and all that stuff.
50 houses, but then if you look at them as 0 lot line.
Got it, the 0 lot line,
It almost
okay.
seems like it's one mega mansion, 4,000 square
perfect.
feet, but it's actually around 27,
Okay, perfect.
sorry, 2,700 square foot
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. Thank
for
you.
each. Yes.
And then another question, what was the, I guess, the open space? You said it was 2.4 plus the 3.25 from the existing, I think your other diagram showed it, between the existing homes to these new ones, the proposed ones.
Give me just a minute.
Yes.
So basically, imagine that there's a home here and a home here is 0 lot line. They all have their side yards and the rear yards. So it is single family. It just happens to be attached. Some people call them, it's very common in some areas. It's all single story and it looks like one big house. So in this area, this is the open space between them and this. It's almost 80 feet here, and then this lot is, the setback for R2 is 20 feet. So from the house, actually to this house, is about almost 100 feet plus.
Okay, from property line to property line is
For
80.
property line. So we're not really citing any of the homes or the lots right adjacent to them. There's the open space around it, even coming all the way down to the open area here. So that's about 16 to 18 at the closest point, but that's side to side. So these lots are side loaded, and so are these lots.
Okay.
So it's side to side, but the house is here. So this house is sitting on this side. They have the remaining side yard plus this open space in that area. And when you come to this side, south, adjacent to the common area, is also a common area. Now, on the calculation of what the additional disturbance we're requesting, code requires, and it's different numbers for different slopes of land, but if you take it in totality, we have 2.4 of undisturbed. Then if you add the additional recreational and open space that we're providing, which the 2014 application didn't provide, we're closer to about 5.7 acres of area around us that is not built. Now, I know you didn't ask that, but Member Chestnut asked for it. The legal access to the lot, because each lot has to have a legal access, it's in this area. And yes, because it's legal access, trails could go from that area up the mountain once we know what development would come, because this is RE, it's BLM land, and it's PF zone. We don't know if it will be auctioned off and sold, or if the county or someone else will develop a park. It is BLM owned, so at this point, no one knows what will happen to that piece of property.
Okay, perfect. I also agree. I think that there's something with maybe a trail to connect to maybe help that out with the existing neighbors as well too. I think the elevation of the home is very beautiful. I don't know if a 3-story is what would be best for that as well. I think I'm not so much in favor of a 3-story home because I don't want the existing neighbors to kind of have a fishbowl feel. And I know with the line site, I just don't want that to be an issue for the existing neighbors. But we'll see if any of the other board members, Kendall or Barry, if they have any comments or questions.
Sure. One question that I didn't really hear addressed, or maybe I didn't understand, was the conversation regarding the hillside ordinance and the areas that are over 12% slope. You kind of touched on it, but you didn't really address why the increased building density should be allowed.
The easiest way to answer that is developing the hillside comes with some costs. It's basically a hill, solid hill. And even when you want to provide all the undisturbed area, you do disturb it. And it has to be then restored and preserved and revegetated. So that's what happens even hillside. As the site exists, I have aerials of different areas that have already been scarred and disturbed by other people who developed in that area. So in us going in with a 12, 25, and 35 slope, we do have to disturb it. Now, the cost of development in this area, this is why there's probably been 3 separate zone changes in 2005, 2006, and 2014, which was allowed to expire before we got, our applicant got involved in this. Because if in gaining the additional lots from the 34 that was approved, that helps address some of all these grading issues to get a development in that area. And the 3 stories requested are just on basically the far west side of it. That's why we showed that site. There's a street between the 3 stories, getting to the 2 stories that are slightly below, and then to the existing residences, mostly on the north and our east, are mostly way below us. That's why we designed it to ensure that there was a gap between us, which will be vegetated. The slopes in that area are 12, 25, and 30. So you do need to grade that area. And our request, just to make the project pencil out, is to allow for about half, an additional half of what is required. Code requires 4.4. We're asking basically to cut that into half to 2.4. The 2014 application, they were allowed to increase it by additional 2.7. But they didn't even include any common areas. We've included the common areas so they don't feel like we're on top of them, all around them. So the houses to the east and to the north and to the south don't feel like we're right on top of them. So we are creating some area around them.
And I feel like this project is actually a really good-looking project if it wasn't for the complications with the hillside. Could you put back up the section that you had up across from lots 10 and 37?
Can you say that again, please? I couldn't quite hear you.
I asked if you would be able to put back up the section that you had that cut across lots 10 and 37 that showed
Yes.
the cut through the hillside and to the lot to the east.
Yes, I have that up now.
And so what is the rise for lot 37 above the existing development to the east?
It's a 2.1 max carp between us and the house below. And that area is part of the 12% before you go into the other slopes. So that is the lowest part of it.
So if I'm looking at the actual elevations that are listed on that plan, it looks like the existing lot is approximately 2425, and the new pad would be 2444. Is that correct?
Correct.
Am I seeing that correctly?
Correct.
You're saying you said there's approximately 100 feet distance between the building that would be built at lot 37 to the existing property line?
Yeah, let me bring up the site plan. So, 10 and 35, and 37 or 38, there is approximately 80 feet between us and those lots, and they rear to it, so you have the additional 20 foot required by code added to that. So that's
20 feet of rise in that 80 feet, right?
correct.
And then how tall is the wall behind lot 37?
The intent in these areas is to have retaining walls and then the view fences, which would be the wrought iron fences. They have solid block walls in these areas. The intent is to kind of make this area a little open. Now,
The
the
intent is to have wrought iron fences on the back, on the east side of lot 37 and the adjacent
yes,
similar lots?
yes.
Okay.
So it will be some retaining and the wrought iron. The request for the 15-foot rockery wall is basically in this area to the north because these houses sit way below. So we gave some room to create the rockery wall. So they're looking at a rockery wall with a wrought iron fence on top. Instead, because if you stair-step it, for it to work, you have to use concrete walls. So unless you color them, the rockery walls look much better for someone below. And their houses are way below in the north, to the northern portion and to our eastern portions. Those houses sit well below, so they won't even see us. What they'll be seeing is the top coming down. And you basically have to kind of climb your wall to see that. They'll have to climb their walls here to really see us, because they're sitting below.
And I'm not sure, maybe I missed it. Did you address the waiver of the offsites with the increased density that you've asked for to the hillside component?
Are you talking about Edmund Street to the north?
Is that the only place that you're asking to waive offsites?
Yes. That's the only place we're asking for a waiver of offsite, because as it exists today, basically, the cul-de-sac doesn't exist. The developers of that area just kind of dead-ended that street, and
So
Right.
Street A and Avenue B that are on your plans would have full curb and gutter developed along with the street?
All of our interior streets are per code and per standard. Only Edmond are we asking, basically we're asking to waive it because even if we built it today, it will be adjacent to the mountain and nothing is happening there. And Public Works has said if we build it, people won't go out there. But really, if you build it, people will go out there. Right now, it dead ends, and we will dedicate the cul-de-sac, the hammerhead part of it, on our portion, and the other portion is the BLM portion of it, which we can't build unless there's a grant, and you have to go through the grant. And since no one knows what's happening to this piece, because it's not privately owned at this point, providing and constructing, even if we agree to construct all of it, it just will encourage people in that area.
I think that addresses my questions for right now. My concerns are still related to, for the other board members, my concerns would still be related to the density, understanding that previously a more intense use has been approved for this area, but I think that may have potentially been ill-advised. With the amount of disturbance to the hillside, I'm still greatly concerned about quite this many dwellings being built directly adjacent to a existing block of homes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your comments. Kendall, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any additional questions. I think they've all been asked, and I echo or share some of Barry's concerns and the ones you guys have already mentioned. And I did want to just say that I thought the staff write-up was really thorough. So yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you so much, Kendall. Yes, I've already closed public comment, so I'm giving the board an opportunity. Okay, thank you. Right now is the board's time to talk and discuss and try to make a motion, if possible.
If I may, the condition on the 2014 application about the blasting and those, we would accept those.
Okay. One thought I had is because of the way these buildings are constructed, even though we've got 50 lots, it looks like 25 buildings. You know, it's an appearance difference, not a code difference. I know the staff is adamantly opposed to this, and that from their write-up. The fact there's been 2 previous applications approved on it tells me something's going to get built on it. You know, that's and the question is, how do we best protect the neighborhood? You know, another comment I had is looking at what appears to be lots 14 and 13 are going to get headlights from the entry all the time because you got an upslope and it's going to go right in to their building. So you may want to look how you're positioning lots in there. Otherwise, that's going to be a real undesirable feature for whoever moves into that particular set of lots in there.
You're talking about these 2 right at the gates?
Yeah, either you're going to put 14 and 15 are combined, or 13 and 14 are going to be combined. And your entry gate is going to shine directly into their building. And you've got an upslope, so the headlights are pointed upward. Yeah, it's, I hope they have heavy drapes in their living room. You know,
it will be disclosed, and as you can see, it's a little offset. So if the houses are together, it's a little offset, and yes, it's going uphill, but those are things that are disclosed during sales, so people know going in.
And even though it's offset, they're gonna make a turn, and it's gonna, it's gonna catch them, either right or left, so that's just something that noted on there. Landscaping, is this really suitable for trees?
This is the landscaping proposed, but as you know, as you develop in the hillside and try to restore, you have to use more native plants. So sometimes these are concepts that just kind of show the aesthetic, but going in, this is the landscape, at least within the subdivision, but in the areas that have to be restored, they'll have to be restored according to what plants will grow and thrive in those areas. To the south, the recreational area, which is a little flatter, those would take more of the trees, but where we have the common areas and open space, well, not the recreational area, but the open space.
The open space by code has got to go back to natural state in there, and there's not a lot of trees in the natural state out there.
That's the intent, to restore it to its natural state. So that's why we don't have anything shown here. There would be
concerned with is the neighbors who brought up on the south side of this project, their neighborhood to try to get to Edmond for access to that hill is almost impossible. I mean, when you look at it, it's a convoluted set of roads to get there. And so I am concerned about, their access to being able to get back to the BLM land, for recreational purposes. I think that's an important component that we need to be building into our various projects. So that's my additional comments for the moment.
Okay, thank you. I do agree, and that's why I was asking if the attached was counted as the 2 lots or the 1. So I think that is one positive of the project. It does look better because it does look like maybe one larger unit when it's in fact 2. Dave, I don't know if Barry, anybody else addressed, are we like the 3-story? I know previous projects were not 3-story that were proposed.
Yeah. How many 3 stories will be built? What's proposed?
The intent was to build.
Everything along the back row?
Yes, along this back row. There wasn't ever an intent to build the 3 stories adjacent to them, even though there is room. There was never the intent to build.
Yeah, because there is a concern about precedent for future hillside development. And we've got a fair amount of an enterprise, and if they ended up adding additional BLM land to enterprise eventually, we're going to have even more of it. So, that's, at the moment, I'm not in favor of 3 stories. So.
I think it should be 2 stories. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry. I was going to say that in relation to the 3 stories, for this specific project, normally I would be opposed to them. In relation to this specific project on the west side of the development only, given the 80-foot section that has 20-foot of rise and then the 2-story homes in front of them, I'm less concerned about what the 3-story homes are going to do, specifically because I don't think anybody's ever going to see the 3-story homes from anywhere except for within the development or at a pretty far away distance, because you're going to have to see over, I believe, from the street below, roughly somewhere around 50 feet before you're going to see any of the 3-story home. But that's just, and again, that's all in relation because of the, and that's a good example you can see there. So it's 27 feet. So yeah, you've got 47 feet from the street below before you're going to be able to even start to see any of that 3-story home. I honestly don't think anybody outside of the development, unless you're far enough, I don't think anybody's ever going to see the 3-story homes.
I'll concede on that point.
On the 3-story?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only, off the top of my head, this is the only project that I wouldn't object to a 3-story home. Like I said, and I hear you on the duplexes, creating something similar to a 25 building development versus a 50 dwelling development. I would say that the 25 buildings would still be over, but the hillside ordinance would allow for the 12% slope, much less the 30% slope.
Okay, thank you, Barry.
Chair, can we have the gentleman's comment on slope, please?
The gentleman from the audience?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and allow this one comment.
We're all on the same page of this. I would like to use her diagram. And
Okay, sorry, but you have to wait till you get to the microphone.
Sorry, what?
You have to speak when you get to the microphone so everybody can hear you. And if you can just state your name and address for the record.
It's
please.
Michael Horvath. It's at 5126 Quiet Falls Court. So this right here, they're saying is 100. If I'm trying to get it on this thing. So they say right here that this is 100 feet away. These homes are low. This is level. This hill, it goes up. So as you pull in here, you're going up a hill. My dad's backyard and the other people are right here. His air conditioning and everything is right here. They're going to be right here blasting the side of this mountain and doing all this. It slants up. So it's not like it just pulls in and like these people are all below and they're above. We will see these 3-story homes easily. These people will be right on top of us. As they're blasting and grading, that is our wall right there. They're going to be making tons of noise. We have several homes along this line that'll see these things right away. It's not just, these are right, they are below. There'll be these up, they'll have views, whatever. These don't, they'll be looking right into us. That's the problem with that. I don't know this whole thing, you're not gonna see these homes, we will.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Thank you. I'm still going to stick with it. Oh, yes. And if everybody can please, just a reminder to make sure that you signed in on the sign-up sheet outside the door. Thank you. I think I'm still going to stick to the 2-story on that. Because I think that it could still create at the top of that hill an illusion of it kind of towering down. And I think that that's something to try to protect the existing neighbors right there. But that's just how I feel, so we'll see. I think, yeah, on the bottom of the slope, I think that those existing neighbors would be protected, but I think once you go up toward this common space or the open space, it could be a potential issue. And it's got to be all or nothing. We vote for the 3-story homes on that one side or no 3-story homes.
If I may offer, if the concern is in this area, that they think that because of the slope, even on the west side, based on this street, we could offer to do 2 stories, basically using this street as the line where we don't do any 3 stories. Because it's going to be 2 stories in this area, and we can, maybe the first 2 or 3 lots in that area on the southwestern portion. Just so we can have some 3 stories to have some symmetry.
We'll see how the board goes. I really think I should be
A potential way
I understand.
to make sure is condition it to 3-story homes on lots 1 through 16.
Sorry, I can't see that. 1 through 16. And that gets it right before the entrance.
Yeah.
Okay. Barry, you were going to say something?
I think Dave's comment addresses what I was going to say. I
Okay.
was going to say that having it on the first 3 lots would seem to present a challenge with the duplex style, but I think lots 1 through 16 probably covers that concern.
Would that be something?
Yeah, we'll consider it, but I was just as we're discussing it, up to 16 is still within the subdivision with these buffering it. So if we could go to lot 19 to keep the 3-story up to 19, so we have 20, 21, and 22 as 2 stories. Because we still have, at that point, our houses basically blocking their view because we're still at the slope. I do understand what they're saying in that, once you turn and this is going uphill, they may see the 3 stories because there's not a lot in it. It's a line of sight in this area. So going to 19, we're still really buffered, even to 20, and it's the last 3, but we would offer 22, 21, and 20 as 2-story, and they're remaining at 3.
Well, you wouldn't be able to just do 22, 21, and 20 because 20 split the building with 19.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you're going to combine with the common lot line houses, then you've got 4 lots you need to take out.
Yes. So up to,
So 1 through 18 would be,
yes,
all right.
to 1 through 18, you're correct.
Let me roll off a series of conditions and see what the board thinks.
Thank you.
Okay. And that. Make a motion on ZC 200454 to approve the zone change, to approve the use permits, to approve the waiver development standards, and approve the design review. And then change current planning bullet number 1 to read a resolution of intent to construct in 3 years rather than a no resolution of intent. Change current planning bullet number 1 to read a resolution of intent to complete construction in 3 years. Put it on an ORI because who knows what's going to happen in the future, whether it would even go forward, and having hard zoning on it is not good in there. Add current planning conditions. 3-story homes on lots 1 through 18. Design review as public hearing for significant changes to plans. Design review as a public hearing for lighting and signage. And then the long one, which you've already got the slip for, is planning staff must review and approve blasting plans submitted by the developer. Blasting plan will address time, duration, density, noise, and any blasting and how any damage claims will be handled, including the point of contact for the county to refer any potential complaints regarding any alleged property damage. Developer shall submit to the county current planning staff on a regular basis a report of the number of complaints received and status of any outstanding claims in that. And then any retaining or decorative wall over 9 feet to be terraced. Any retaining or decorative wall over 9 feet to be terraced. And that may leave you some room for your rockery wall. There. A design review is a public hearing for final grading plan. And let's see. And then delete Public Works bullet number 6, and add Public Works Development, dedicate Edmond cul-de-sac. It's not included in any of the write-ups. No. Per staff if approved conditions.
Just a quick, just our portion of it, right?
That's all it would be.
Okay.
We can't dedicate anything that doesn't belong to this particular project, so.
Thank you.
No.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Chestnut, since it's residential, typically it's just a project identification sign.
Lighting on the mountain.
Excuse me?
I'm concerned about lighting because it is lighted, it will be visible from long distances. So to make sure even the coach lights are shielded.
Okay, so just lighting, because since it's residential, just be
Yeah.
a project
Don't particularly want to be
identification.
like the South Point where you can see for most areas in Enterprise. Now leave signage because they could have a sign at the front gate.
Thank you.
You know, it's residential, so they're permitted at least one in there, and they can vary up to 10 feet high. So, any other questions?
Carmen, you got that? Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So with that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, perfect.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion on VS 200453 to approve per staff conditions and delete Public Works Development Review bullet number 2 and dedicate Edmond cul-de-sac. And it should be, excuse me,
Portion of.
let me reword that here. Make sure I get it right. Make a motion on VS 200453 for approval and then delete Public Works Development Review bullet number 2, add Public Works Development Review, dedicate Edmond cul-de-sac per staff conditions.
Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, and have a
Okay,
good
we
evening.
got one more to go.
Oh, the TM.
Yes.
Sorry.
Item number 6, TM 20500-154. Approve. And then delete Public Works Development Review bullet number 6 and add Public Works Development Review, dedicate Edmond cul-de-sac.
Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion carries.
And would request the applicant meet with some of these folks back there so they can get more information before you get to the BCC.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. Okay, that brings us down to number 8, UC 200469, use permit to allow an accessory use shed for well equipment and temporary fencing prior to the principal use on 2.1 acres in a RE real estate's residential zone, generally located on the south side of Cactus Avenue and the east side of Dapple Gray Road alignment within Enterprise. Oh, yes, I did, we called it earlier, I did trail it.
We can go.
You're okay? Okay, perfect. let me reread 7, because I had read it in, and then we missed you, and then we trailed it. So I didn't know if you had come in yet, so we'll go ahead and call number 7. That's okay. Okay, item number 7, UC 200456, use permits for the following: 1, convenience store; 2, gasoline station; 3, packaged liquor sales; 4, reduce the separation for a proposed convenience store to a residential use; and 5, reduce separation for a proposed gasoline station to a residential use. Waivers of development standards for the following: 1, reduce parking lot landscaping; 2, reduce building height setbacks; 3, buffer wall; 4, reduce departure distance; and 5, alternative driveway geometrics. Design reviews for the following: 1, convenience store with gasoline station; and 2, retail restaurant with drive-through on 2.5 acres in a C1 local business zone, generally located on the northeast corner of Durango Drive and Pebble Road within Enterprise. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sergio Comparan. Address is 2580 St. Rose Parkway, Suite 305. And on behalf of our client, we're here to propose a construction of a C-store with gas pumps and an inline retail building with restaurant end cap and drive-through on the corner of Durango Road and Pebble Road. As the staff report describes, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I did open public comment before, but I'll go ahead and open public comment if anybody else showed up, if they'd like to speak on item number 7. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment, open up to the board members.
Yeah, I think too many use permits, too many waivers. Having a lineup along the northern boundary for cars in someone's backyard, I don't think is a neat thing. I'm opposed to the current plan.
Okay. Barry or Kendall, anybody on WebEx have any comments?
I would echo the concerns expressed. Typically, usually greatly concerned whenever specifically C-stores are looking for a waiver in relation to residential for their use permit. And this not only does that, but asks for several other waivers in addition. I think that that's inappropriate, especially without any justification for all of the waivers being presented.
Okay, Barry, it's a little hard to hear you. But what I got is that you're not in favor of the waivers and the use permits. Is that correct?
That is essentially what I said.
Okay, sorry. It's a little hard to hear you. Okay, perfect. Kendall, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I think I'd be the third or fourth opposed to this.
Okay, perfect. I would also have to echo, I know that the existing homes that are south of Pebble, they're party homes. They have another gas station in their other backyard. It's the Walgreens and the Terribles, and they also have a car wash that literally abuts to the back wall. And that specific car wash and C-store was there before the homes were built, so they did know that that was in their backyard. But I do think that this is excessive reduction for separation for the convenience store and the gasoline station. I think that this is not the quite fit for this parcel. Any other questions or anything? No? Okay. So with that, on item number 7, I'll make a motion on UC 200456 for denial. That motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now item number 8, UC 200469, use permit to allow an accessory use, shed for well equipment, and temporary fencing prior to the principal use on 2.1 acres in a RE real estate's residential zone, generally located on the south side of Cactus Avenue and the east side of Tapple Gray Road alignment within Enterprise. Good evening.
Hi, Madam Chair, members of the Town Board. Denicio Gordillo, 204 Belle Isle Court, Henderson, Nevada, 89012, here on behalf of the applicant. We're here tonight with a pretty straightforward innocuous request. In fact, we could have done this administratively if the shed had been only 8 feet tall rather than 10 feet tall. But I'll get to that in a second. I'll keep my comments real brief. Just to give you some locational criteria, the site is right there. It's labeled as site. It's on the south side of Cactus, just east of Fort Apache, in an area that's designated as open land under the Enterprise Land Use Plan. Of course, open land encourages large, really large lot residential development. My client, the applicant, lives on the adjacent piece, on the adjacent 2-acre piece immediately to the west. He bought this property in 2016. For those of you who are on the town board around there, there was a batch of non-conforming zone changes that were being submitted south of Cactus between Fort Apache and Buffalo. He acquired this property for 2 reasons. One is to block the development, so it wouldn't be adjacent to his property. And then 2, if development does occur, this would function as a buffer for any future development. So what he did is he started investing a substantial amount of money in improving this site. So if you look at the site prior or pre-2016 to now, there's some substantial improvements that he's done to the site. So now he wanted to enhance it, and that's why we're here. So the site plan that we are proposing shows how he wants to enhance the site. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to enclose the entire site with this split rail, 4 feet high, vinyl fencing. So it's going to be a little over 2-acre parcel that's going to be enclosed with that railing. The second thing he's going to do is he's going to plant 40 evergreen trees, a combination of conifers with bottle trees, but they're evergreen trees. 40 of them spaced 20 feet apart along the entire perimeter of the property. Here is what triggered this use permit in the first place. He also bought a tough shed to enclose, of course, the well equipment. When he tried to go in and get that permitted is when he was hit with of course, the code requirement that you can't do accessory uses or accessory structures prior to a principal use being on the property. So that's why we're here tonight. Again, we are in an area that's master planned for open land. This is entirely consistent. What he's proposing is entirely consistent with the area. We appreciate staff's recommendation. We worked well with Rob Kaminsky. He kind of guided us through this process. We appreciate the recommendation, staff recommendation. We agreed all conditions, and we would also respectfully request your approval.
Great, thank you so much for that. This time I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 8? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Open up to board members.
Yeah, I think it's a good addition to a piece of raw land to make it look a lot better out there. And gentleman who owns it's been before us on several occasions, and so I don't have any problem with him. So I'd recommend approval.
Yes, I drive by this property every day, multiple times a day.
Oh, you do?
I think,
Okay.
Yes.
Now, have you driven by it before 2016?
Yes, because yes. Anyways, I drive by it probably 3 or 4 times a day. So tell your client we'll be counting 40 trees. Yep. I think it's great. And is the fence going to be matching what's on his property? Because he does have.
Well, eventually, I'm not sure that he has the split rail fencing on his property now.
Right.
He might have it on a portion of it.
A portion,
but he's basically going to unify both parcels.
Oh, that's going to be.
Obviously, they're going to be separate parcels. He doesn't want to combine both of them. Unfortunately, at this point in time, he has no intent on constructing a single-family residence on this parcel. Yeah. And that's why we're here.
Perfect. Okay. Barry, Kendall, do you have any comments or questions?
I don't.
No? Okay.
I'll make a motion on item number 8, UC 200469, approval per staff conditions.
Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you and good night.
Mhm. Okay, our next item on the agenda is number 9, VS 200460, vacate and abandonment easements of interest to Clark County located between Schuster Street and Valley View Boulevard and between Torino Avenue and Ford Avenue within Enterprise. Description and file. Do we have an applicant for item number 9? Okay. I will trail to the call of the chair. Okay, that brings us down to item number 10. VS 200455, waiver of development standards for a modified residential driveway design in conjunction with a previously approved single-family residential subdivision on 10.6 acres in an R2 medium-density residential zone, generally located on the south side of Ford Avenue alignment, 350 feet west of Durango Drive within Enterprise. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Krista Bilbrey with KB Home, 5795 Badura Avenue. Just to give you an idea of where we're at, this is Durango and Pebble, and it was a parcel that was a BLM auction parcel. This is the overall site plan that was approved by this board and the Board of County Commission. We have one entrance off of Ford Avenue, and the waiver in question only affects the 2 lots on each side of the entrance. There is a rule, a county code, that you must be 12 feet from the curb return to the edge of the driveway. But as we analyze the site with the wider common areas adjacent, and because it is right at the entrance, there's slower traffic, staff agreed and has recommended approval. And so we asked this board for the same. We agree to all staff conditions.
Okay, thank you so much for that. This time we'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 10? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Board members?
No problem.
Barry or Kendall, any comments?
No comments.
No problem from me.
Okay, perfect. I also have no problem with that as well. So I'll go ahead and make a motion on item number 10. WS 200455, approval per staff conditions. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is item number 11. WS 200470, waiver of development standards to reduce rear setback for a proposed single-family residence on 0.1 acres in an R2 medium-density residential zone, generally located on the east side of Sardina Street, approximately 170 feet north of Cactus Avenue within Enterprise.
Good evening, Krista Bilbrey with KB Home, 5795 Badura Avenue. Again, I have a site plan up here to give you a general overview. It's off of Cactus Avenue between Durango and Buffalo, surrounded by future potential park space. And then next is the overall site plan. It's this large lot 53, just 4 lots in from the entrance. Our typical lots are anywhere from about 3,500 to 4,000 square feet. This one just is 6,500 square feet. And the lot itself is extremely wide. I guess I could change this so that's the same direction. Normally, county code requires a 15-foot rear setback. We're showing just under 11 feet, but the side setback that's only required to be 5 is 44.27, so we believe that there's still a substantial usable private yard area. And so we agree with staff conditions. We are appreciative of their recommendation for approval, and we ask the same of you.
Great, thank you so much. So at this time, I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 11? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Board members?
Big enough side yard for pool, barbecue, and other things, so I don't see a problem with it at all.
Yes, I agree as well. Barry and Kendall, do you have any comments, questions? I'm going to take that as a no. They're still there? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so with no other questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion on item number 11, WS 200470, approval per staff conditions. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is item number 12, DR 200467, design reviews for the following. 1, site lighting. 2, signage in conjunction with an existing mini warehouse establishment on 1.6 acres in a UV urban village zone, generally located on the northeast corner of Buffalo Drive and Blue Diamond Road within Enterprise.
Good evening. Jay Brown, 520 South 4th Street, representing the applicant. With me is the applicant's architect, John Carroll. As stated, this is a design review for site lighting and signage in conjunction with an existing warehouse located on the northeast corner of Buffalo Drive and Blue Diamond Road. The signs face away from the multifamily buildings and are harmonious in design to the site. For safety reasons, the applicant would like its light fixtures consistent with the multifamily buildings to the north and east. But we do understand that the board has been requiring lighting to be shielded, and it may be the board's wishes to make this a condition. I believe you have our plans and our photos, but if you'd like, Mr. Carroll will be happy to review them with you. Staff recommends approval, and we'd appreciate your recommendation of approval as well.
Okay, thank you. Would you mind to go and show the lighting? Thank you.
You can see the light fixtures on each one of these pictures. All these are daytime photos of where the light fixtures are located on the buildings. And then these are the light fixtures at nighttime. You go around the property, you can see that they do not shine onto Buffalo Road or the apartments across the street or Blue Diamond Road, which is this picture here. So they are located fairly well. This is the drive aisle between the apartments and the storage facility on the east side of the building. This is looking back towards Blue Diamond, so you can see that there is no lights shining over. And this is the other direction from the apartments looking down. The other direction, these are the light fixtures that we have on our facility, and these are the light fixtures of the apartments. So they are the same fixture, just LED versus the halogen bulb that they have in the other one.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So at this time, I'll go ahead and open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 12? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Open up to the board members.
Yeah, the lighting fixtures shown on the apartments resulted in numerous complaints from neighbors surrounding the apartments due to the source of the lighting. And this really doesn't have any shielding on it whatsoever in this. And the board has been consistently pushing for a long time that there should be adequate lighting for safety. These lights can be shielded in such a manner that the source is not visible down the street for 14 blocks. Yet there is plenty of lighting in there for your parking lot. So I'm opposed to the current lighting, and I would add a condition for fully shielded lighting on wall-mounted lights.
Okay. Barry or Kendall, do you have any questions or comments?
I would agree with Dave's comments about the shielded lighting.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I would also agree. I do think it needs to be fully shielded for some of the residents to the north. So.
Yeah, it's been a long haul getting to this, and getting some of it under control because we're not the Strip. And I'll make a motion on item number 12 to approve per staff conditions and add a current planning condition, wall-mounted lighting to be fully shielded.
Okay, perfect. So with that motion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next item is item number 13. ET 204000117, NZC 027717, zone change for its extension of time to reclassify 14.6 acres from RE Real Estates Residential Zone and RE Real Estates Residential PC Planned Community Overlay District Zone to C2 General Commercial Zone. Design review for a proposed shopping center, generally located on the west side of Rainbow Boulevard and the north side of Landberg Avenue within enterprise description and file. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Dagger, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada 89135. On behalf of the applicant, we are requesting our first extension of time to complete this project. As the staff report mentions, the primary reason for delays in progressing the project was just uncertainty in the schedule and some additional work that the county required of us on the property frontage. No substantial changes have occurred at the site since the original approval, and staff have recommended approval, so we ask for you to do the same. And unless you have any questions, I'll submit on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. This time I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 13? Hello.
Good evening. My name is Eric Hilbrecht, 95 North 27th Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, zip code 89101. On behalf of my mother, Diane Hilbrecht, at 7050 West Gary Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, zip code 89178. She has property close to this development. I'm unsure if in the past we've accommodated for a possible equestrian trail and also any type of outdoor noise and lighting for this project. So I've been kind of out of the loop for a while. So if staff or if you guys remember anything, please shed some light on it. But I thought we were going to have like a frontage property along Rainbows being commercial, low commercial, maybe C1 max, and then anything past the first parcels would be low density residential. So I don't know what's happened since then. I'd just like some clarification, please.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So this application is just the first extension of time for the zone change. So I don't know if you're able to answer some of the questions maybe outside with the gentleman about more extensively for the project. Does that sound okay, sir? To partner with the
Yeah.
But maybe just so you can kind of fill the gentleman in on the previous approvals.
There are a number of conditions that went on this particular approval. So, and I've heard from other neighbors in the neighborhood that they would like to see those conditions continued on the project. So.
It was a very thorough.
Yeah, my only comment is I think that the date that the staff has is a little bit too short, and I would amend the date.
Okay, let me close, hearing nobody else saying it, let me close public comment, and then Dave, amend the date for a little bit longer.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to, no one else has any comments, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion on ET 204000117 NZC 027717 for approval per staff conditions and change current planning bullet number 1 to read until January 1, 2023 to commence. Change current planning bullet number 1 to read until January 1, 2023 to commence.
2023.
2023. Yes.
Okay.
It's my military training getting to me.
Okay, I think everybody's got that. Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then if you wouldn't mind to just partner with him, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, you too. Our next item on the agenda is item number 15, WC 204000120, ZC 200265, waiver of conditions of a zone change requiring to provide 7,394 square foot community lot as shown on plans in conjunction with a single-family residential development on approximately 13.7 acres in an R2 medium-density residential zone, generally located on the south side of Pyle Avenue and the west side of Cameron Street within Enterprise. Good evening.
Good evening, Krista Bilbrey with KB Home, 5795 Badura Avenue. As an overview, this project is located just east of Decatur off of Pyle Avenue. Previous zone change and tentative map approvals. And I have here for a side-by-side for you of the original and the revised layouts. The original layout had a larger common element lot right at the entry. As we've gone through some of the drainage study process with Clark County, we're finding that we can utilize a lot more of the space throughout the middle, so we're reallocating. We have a smaller area at the entry and increasing the overall open space, just putting it in a different location. But the original condition of approval for the project was specific about where the open space was located. It said it had to be at the entrance, and so we're asking to waive that condition so that it's not a 7,000 square foot at the entrance. It's been more dispersed and actually increased at a different location in the site. And we accept staff conditions, and we appreciate the recommendation of approval, and we ask for the same from this board. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on item number 15? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Board members?
Yeah. Does the drainage go through any of this new open space?
It does, and we're purposely phasing our development because the county is actually bringing a drainage up Ullum that is going to reduce the impact on this site. That's why we know we can use more of this, and we've actually created a phase line up here so that we start up here, we wait till the county finishes this, and it significantly reduces what goes through here, and I can put it into a small pipe underground instead of a big open concrete channel.
Yeah,
and
I
once
know
I
looking
put
at
it
the
under
open
dam,
channel to the east that's a huge
yes.
channel there. I think they were anticipating
we were
2,000 CFS in there.
And it's down to less than 1,000 that can go into a pipe, so we can actually landscape that area.
Can you put any passive amenities for the residents in there? Picnic tables, that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is our total intent, is to make it usable and get rid of that big concrete channel.
I would just
Open
add a
line.
condition for passive amenities in the common areas.
Okay.
So the question goes forward.
Barry or Kendall, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't.
No, I don't either.
Okay, perfect.
I'll make a motion in item 15, WC 204000120, ZC 200265 for approval per staff conditions. Add current planning condition, install passive amenities in common areas. Okay. Add current planning condition, install passive amenities in common areas. And that pretty much leaves it up to the applicant what goes in and how much.
Okay, I think they got it. Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Looks like we still do not have an applicant for item number 9. I would be okay if we hold it to the 11:24 meeting. They should still be able to make their planning commission. So no other comments from anybody else. I'll go ahead and make a motion on item number 9, VS 200460, to hold to the Enterprise Town Advisory Board meeting November 24th, 2020. Okay, so with that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. next brings us down to general business. Bullet number 1, item number 1 under general business. Make recommendations regarding discussion topics for future meeting with Clark County Public Works for possible action.
What I have taken is items that we submitted on our capital budget, previous responses from Public Works, and some suggestions from Barry on rural roads, and combined it into one document. So, you know, if you could go through it, look at the reasoning on it, anything to add, delete, etc., if you could let me know, and then we can bring it back at a later date to go from there. So this is an initial draft for ideas.
Okay, perfect. We did not have a deadline for this one. We're just going through it. Okay, perfect. Barry, Kendall, do you guys have any comments?
Not at this time. Yeah, I think that because we don't anticipate the meeting being scheduled till after the new year, there's still a little bit of time with this. So right now I don't have any comment.
Okay, and so for anything that we do want to add or anything like that, we can just email you, Dave, and
Well, send it through Carmen.
Carmen, yes, that's
Yes,
right.
please.
Carmen yes, of course. Okay, so we will bring this back at a later date.
I would not recommend the next meeting. The advance notice looks like it could be a humdinger.
I think possibly maybe a December meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe we can discuss that the
yeah.
next meeting.
I suspect we're going to be here a long time in the next meeting.
Okay, so we will partner up and we can decide what maybe the first meeting in December, tentatively. Maybe bring this back. So first meeting of December. Okay, perfect. Item number 2 under general business, review the 2021 Town Advisory Board calendar for possible action.
I believe Tiffany was just looking for you guys to consider if there are any conflicts with holidays and dates and that type of thing. Calendar will ultimately be approved at your first meeting in January.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt, but if Mike's talking, we can't hear him over the WebEx.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's my understanding that Tiffany was just looking for you guys to consider if there were any conflicts with holidays or anything else that would normally be your traditional meeting night. The calendar will ultimately be approved at the first meeting in January when the new board is constituted, of which some of you may still be on the board. I don't know who all's reapplied, but that's traditionally when that calendar is approved. Tonight is just to look at conflicts.
Perfect.
Yeah, I looked at it month by month. I did not see a conflict.
Really?
Including because we have a 3-week break in November, which put it away from Thanksgiving.
Ah.
Yeah. That was the only potential conflict, and it's not there with the schedules being shown.
Perfect.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So just an advance copy notice of the calendar. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, next brings us down to comments by the general public. Anybody have any comments? Barry or Kendall?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close comments by the general public. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And then I will go ahead and make a motion at 7:55 p.m. for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Aye.